Hello everyone, hope you are well. Thank you for joining me today. Big thank you to HGC organizers to give me opportunity to speak with you today. And let's start with a short introduction. My name is Igor. I'm game lead at Homa Games, and today I want to tell you a story about development and launch of Kaiju Run. It's almost 1 year since we developed and pushed it, so I think it would be a great milestone to reflect on how it was done. So let's start. First of all, let me introduce the game. Kaiju Run is a hyper-casual game runner with two main mechanics, evolution and fighting. Basic concept is very easy. Player collect green pickups to evolve his kaiju and beat the enemy at the end of level. And after its release, we managed to acquire about 25 million users, both on iOS and Android platforms. And originally, this game was developed internally at Homa Games in second quarter of 2021. So let's see how prototype was made. First of all, how we came up with this idea. Back then, in second quarter of 2022, there was already risen and establishing trend of evolution runners. We already saw some hit examples from Voodoo like Fight to Feet and Dawn of Life, so we wanted to experiment in this dimension as well. Also, right at this time, Godzilla vs. Kong movie was released, and I was very excited about this as well. I want to highlight it at the beginning because it's a very important factor. And in order to maximize your chances to get successful hyper-casual release, you need to have very solid base as foundation for your visuals and mechanics. And for us, Kaiju semantics played very well. It's already big domain from last century, I would say. Almost everyone familiar with Godzilla or King Kong in any different form of media. It can be movies, cartoons, games, or even toys. Also, what's important, this franchise is live. New movies are and content still producing. And let's also remember recent Kaiju event from Call of Duty Warzone, for example. So, for your hyper-casual prototypes, it's very crucial to find similar topic, similar foundation on which you can, I would say, create something very helpful. So, what I can suggest for you is to continue to monitor upcoming releases of new entertainment. As example, new blockbuster movies, very great opportunity to jump and push your hyper-casual concept. So just keep looking. And that's what we did. We mixed two main themes. First one is evolution. Our main developer Jason came up with this concept of mixing the big hit growing mechanic with Kaiju theme. So that's what we did with our first prototype. Basically, it took us 7 days to develop this game originally. We started with very similar concept to Big Hit as level structure. So we had only blend shape and size growing for the monkey characters. But we very fast realized that just growing the same model is not very satisfying, and it's really hard to highlight giant kaiju models with this approach. So we very fast switched to three-stage evolution system. Basically, player starting as small and cute creature, then he starts to collect radiation and transforms into more brutal version. And at the end of level, he reached third level of evolution and became like a big kaiju from 80s and 90s movies. Somewhere in the middle of prototyping, we also experiment with city environment a bit, but in our opinion, it just created more noise and stole focus from the main characters, so we remove all the environment around main road. And to fix classical Unity background problem, I would say we used simple water shader and skybox with sprites from Polygon Studio. Here's some metrics of our first test, finally. So I will lie if I say that we didn't excited about that at the moment. But it's also important to know, so for the first prototype, we had only 3 playable characters and about 5 unique levels, including bonus one. So for the first test, we only had Godzilla, King Kong, and Big Giant Turtle, which is Mothra. Very pretty well kaijus. So with the scope, we got CPI around 32 cents, 50% of day one retention, playtime of about 15 minutes, and every session about 5 minutes. Also want to mention that dynamic of air retention was very good too, because on day 2 we had 27%, and on day 7 it was about 10%. So users stayed in the game for a while, and it was, I would say, great marketability and engagement criteria here. For the first test, we used only 4 color variations for the creatives, but the game itself had only one regular blue one. And I want to highlight it as well. It's really important to test different color variations when you push in your prototype. So by average, just spend one more day on creative work on recording different gameplay variations. Uh, for me personally, I prefer using Colors Pro Unity asset. It worked pretty well with us. It has a lot of features in it, but you can use any tool that you wanted. And a few more words about our first test. To top, launch, and analyze our first test, we're using our external tool called Homa Lab. It's already available for external developers, so feel free to check it out. Basically, it helps us reduce all the pain with different campaign setups, checking creative resolution as well, and for most important, track a record of all tests that we're doing through our prototyping stage. So yeah, it would be really hard to push this game without it. And just to illustrate my previous point regarding the importance of different color variations, in testing, here is a screenshot from this tool from our Facebook dashboard. So basically, our average CPI was about 32 cents, but creatives that acquired almost 60% of users had even better results, which is 26 cents. And it was with pink skybox and color scheme. So yeah, it's pretty important to test different color variations after all. So after getting first campaign results, we immediately started to work on our roadmap for this game. Keeping in mind very decent KPIs, we have decided to secure our LTV first before moving further and scale the game. In most cases, for the first update, you can just add interstitials and push it as it is. It should be enough. But in this case, we decided to take more strategic approach, I would say, because we already saw huge potential for engagement, and first prototype had a really limited amount of content, but keeps player engaged during 1 week. So yeah, by adding an additional interstitials, I think we could ruin this dynamic. So we decided to complement all new monetization features with some in-game content. And for that, we decided to focus on unique levels, on new type of distraction, and new characters as well. So, in addition to already established distraction system with brick walls, we decided to add like additional new trees and buildings. So players still controlling Kaiju, and it's important to show some context while he runs through the level, and give him opportunity to destroy big structures as buildings. From the first attempt, by the way, it was not very successful. We used a tool called Magic Voxel to voxelize all obstacles and get this cube effect. But on low and mid-end devices, FPS was freeze right after stepping into the destructible obstacle. So we decided to switch this approach to more, I would say, approached one. We already worked a lot with Rayfire on different projects, so we decided to use it. And in the end, it looks even better with game art direction. So yeah, we decided to stick with this approach. That's why originally why we picked voxel ones. At the moment, it was a lot of games with this voxel thematic, and we want to capitalize on this one as well. But it's really important to, I would say, keep focus on right elements in your game and not trying to add everything from top performing games. So yeah, that was our approach to distraction. Next thing that we decided to add was some variety and diversity to gameplay. So right after we started iteration on this game, there was Animal Transforms Reduce released with this cool effect when you transition from flying to running and to swimming animals. And we decided to try something similar. We also decided to rework a little bit end of level scenes for this mechanic to give more uniqueness of each specific level. So for water levels, we try to simulate a scene from the movie when Godzilla fights with Kaiju or with King Kong, sorry. And for the sky sim, we decide to replicate Hellcarrier from Marvel Universe. So it was sort of Easter egg and our tribute to Things We Love. We're still game developers and geeks in our core. So yeah, that was our focus on this mechanic. That's how end of level mechanics was made. So yeah, pretty good result I would say, and yeah, huge congratulations to Philip, our artist at the moment, with this execution. And that's how gameplay looked in general. So yeah, it's still the same game with same controls, but players feels more refreshing at each new level, and we was also able to test a lot of new concept in creatives with these new characters and environment assets. So yeah, for your games, try to find similar opportunities for drastic visual change without big interference in core gameplay, and could be very beneficial for you as well. So yeah, try to experiment more when possible. And here is our first LTV data after we implemented all these changes. So just for context, we added interstitial placements on the screen after each level and rewarded video placements for games multiplying at end of each bonus level. It was about every 5 levels at the moment. So with this scope, we got our day zero LTV about 23 cents, which matured to 32 at day one, which is very promising and equal to our CPI at the moment. Interstitial per day ratio was about 10 views, which is pretty decent too, I would say, but our rewarded strategy was not very promising at all. And for scaling this game further, we decided to spend some more time on new replacements just to bring our LTV a little bit higher. So our next update was focused basically around it. First of all, we decided to try add fail state to the game and introduce revive options as a replacement there. So just for the context, in the game we have two collectible items. First one is green radiation pickups, which transform your character in bigger forms. And second one is red pills, which sort of heals you and transform you back to the cute version. At the moment, player couldn't lose in the game, so we decided to A/B test this feature. And the basic idea how it should be, after eating some amount of red pills, your Kaiju will eventually die. So we tried a few iterations with this dynamic, but in the end we just get rid of it because we was not satisfied very well with reward video ratio improvement, and also affect our engagement pretty a lot. So yeah, we just decide to stick with other opportunities to increase our RV take. And the other placement, which still best one to this day, is content unlocking. Basically, we added progressive gauge at the end of each level, which showed how many levels you need to play to unlock new character. And after filling it with 100%, we just show you character icon and the proposal to save this character for you just by watching RV. Prototype, it's pretty standard mechanic in hyper casual monetization, and it is very effective. So yeah, it's still main one for our RV strategy. Next one is currency multiplier roulette. After first fail with in like first attempt, we decided to introduce this to each level. So basically, after beating an enemy, our player gives some amount of gems, and at the result screen, we just give him proposal to multiply it with some random amount if he press the button in some specific moment. Very good mechanic, which creates sort of game in the game feel and giving players sort of cheat movement. So yeah, it's great one for our early take ratio too. And last one is start bigger. So main idea is to start with stage 2 after watching early. It was our experiment for user who was not able to evolve character at all. It was very small fracture of user base, but we decided to capitalize on them as well. But originally it doesn't work well, and we get rid of it as well. And with this update, we also tried to complement it with some game improvements features as well, not only our RV stuff. So for the end of level mechanic, we decide to take more fighting approach. We also increase a little bit tutorial text. and in general try to make it look like Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I think it was a great compliment to already established 80s and 19 themes, and I just repeat myself, but it's also very important to find some opportunities in your game to add already well-known elements from other games, from other dimensions. Next one is new level types. So basically what we did, we already had a lot of color variations in our creatives, but there was not represented in the game. So that's what we did. We applied these four color variations from creatives, which is like red one with lava, green with an exit, and pink one from our top performing ones to the game. Just applying already proven in creative solution open us very good opportunity to work on variety for level progression, and that's what we came up with in the end of this update. So in total we had 20 unique levels, which divide in groups of 5 based on their skybox color. At the end of each group we start to introduce new character as enemy, and after any player beats him, we introduce every offer to unlock this character as playable one. And here is the results of our second update with new RV monetization strategy. So yeah, basically week 1 data was pretty strong. We reached the crucial profitability for the day 0 and passed our scaling KPIs. With RV, same dynamic. We had more than 200% of takeover ratio, which is pretty well for this type of core-based hyper-casual games. So yeah, it was very good results. And the amount of interstitials per user increased too. So we got plus 37.5 of impression time view. So yeah, pretty good dynamic with this update. And at this point, we already realized that we're doing great, and it was time to iterate on this game and go to operation. Other topic that I want to highlight today is mobile tubers' influence on hyper-casual testing process in general. So in my experience in Homa, we had a few times this issue when some mobile YouTubers picks up the game, releases few video, and huge amount of organic users comes and download our game. It shouldn't harm your KPIs when you're already at scaling stage, but often it appears right at the first test. So in this case, user acquisition users and organic ones are mixing together, and it's really hard to properly analyze players' behavior. So almost always these two cohorts act very differently, and it's really hard to separate them from each other through any analytical tools. For example, we had the prototype when during first test with a small budget, we got about 2,000 organic users. And what's most interesting that they act in case of retention and playtime very differently and better than Facebook ones. So accidentally we thought that our game loop had the potential and we moved it to the next phase. And after it we struggled a lot trying to fix core game problems at the bigger scale with bigger audience and spend. So in Kaiju Run case, so it was not the case. I think first big YouTuber who picked up the game was Fady. By the way, do not hesitate to check his channel. I think you get a pretty good idea on how this mobile YouTuber thing is working. So yeah, in total, he released the 6 video. Each of them had about 100 to 500k views, and it helped to snowball a hype train around the other big channels. For example, Lanky Box one. So yeah, it's actually helped us to build some awareness around community and support our scale at release stage in early June, mid-July of 2021. So main takeaway from this case is to keep an eye on your social media So main takeaway from this case is to keep an eye on social media after game release. Just search your game name on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok after a few days of release and check if there are any unusual spikes in engagement metrics as well. This will help you to. So main takeaway from this case is to keep an eye on all social media after the game is released. Just search your game name on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok 2 days after release and check if there's any unusual spikes in engagement and metrics as well. This will help you a lot and prevent you from wrong decision regarding your game performance too. So yeah, be careful with this one. Okay, after previous update, we already secured our profitability and game was looking good, so we decided to work on more long-term goals and content for the players. As I mentioned earlier, we wanted to experiment a bit with this game, so in addition to standard features like new characters or skin shop, we try to move in more idle way. But yeah, let's review this operation stage step by step. First of all, we started with skin shop. Uh, at the moment of release, we had 20 purchasable characters. We managed to add some well-known kaiju like Mothra and the Mechagodzilla, and also try to capitalize on other big topics, for example, like Goku from the Dragon Ball Z franchise. In the additional section of the shop, it was heads. It was a very convenient way to add a bigger amount of content in a small period of time, because adding new characters was very painful for us at the moment. So for this one, we didn't highlight it during core gameplay stage and kept it only as shop exclusive behind every video threshold. Another experimental feature was Unlockable Weapon. At level design stage, we basically just put spawners at each level, and every 5 levels, this pickable weapon appeared during the run. Main idea for this feature was to introduce damage bonus for our idle mechanic, and after picking it up, Kaiju gets additional damage at the end of level stage and the opportunity to kill enemies even faster. Pretty interesting concept in my point of view, which worked well for engagement for us, and also help us speed up content production because, as I mentioned earlier, creating new characters was really painful, and we just need some amount of content to show in our unlockable proposal. So yeah, I think it was only optimal way for us to fix this issue. And let's talk about idle upgrade features. It was very interesting experiment from our side. Idea was to increase replayability of the game in long term. So what we did, we also added progressive difficulty. So basically every few levels, enemy health and damage slowly increased. And to keep up progression through the levels, players should purchase these upgrades. In total, we had 3 of them. Damage, which surprisingly represent our Kaiju damage. Max size is a mix of two. First of all, it slowly increases each stage maximum size, so player immediately felt more powerful just seeing his Kaiju growing after pushing it, and also gives additional health to help our Kaiju survive enemy attacks longer at end of level stage. And third one is offline earnings, pretty standard mechanics which motivate players to come back regularly and collect currency rewards. Unfortunately for this game, it didn't work well. Evolution Runner and idle genre is really hard to match properly, and this game was not designed from the scratch. So yeah, after a few iteration, we decided to stop testing it and focus on other features. And one of the latest mechanics that we added was daily missions. It is really important to design some sort of goals for the players in order to keep them engaged. So idea was to create some sort of challenge around already existing mechanics and features. So we added a simple task which can be completed by playing 10-15 levels every day. So as example of these missions, imagine destroy 5 helicopters, play as Godzilla 3 times, defeat King Kong, buy new head, something like this. And the beauty of it is that you can implement it almost in every hyper casual game. So that's probably a basic foundation if you want to transition to live operation stage at some point. At the end, I want to mention the importance of constant monitoring of uprising trends, not only in hyper casual market but in social media in general. I think today is almost everyone familiar with Poppy Playtime game and Hagiwagi character influence on young audience. So more and more we're seeing him on game icons, creatives, and so. This did the same. In our case, a Hagiwagi experiment brings us about 15% of uplift of LTV. And for this one, we replaced game icon screenshots and added this new character to the game behind every threshold. So yeah, just keep monitoring the media sphere and experiment with your store materials at the operation stage. You never know what some new character can bring to your game. And to round it up here, let's review what we did for the game. We pushed 6 major content updates. Each of them brings both monetization and game changes to the game. We tried to keep well-organized and balanced structure of them. With monetization decisions, we also tried to add new characters, cosmetics, or gameplay polishing. Also, we had this game in active development for 3 months. Our team consisted of developers, one artist, one game designer, and one producer. And after this game moved to operation, we did almost 40 monetization-based A/B tests, improved our average FPS from 18 to 30, and constantly working on creatives and also optimization till this day. And that's the story behind Kaiju Run. I hope you liked it and find some useful tips and tricks for your project as well. Thank you for being with me today. Always keep experimenting on your projects and good luck. And I also will be in comment section just to answer any of your questions. So see you.